Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I will be discussing the immigration related changes that we would be expecting with the NHS or with any person who's going to be applying as a healthcare professional coming into the UK. Now please be aware that these are the sort of long-term changes in the immigration that the UK government may or may not plan in the next 2 years. But if you are interested in knowing anything about this, please do not forget to check this video all the way to the end. Now, before we begin, I would just like to say that I have also started an Instagram page, which I highly recommend you follow, just so that you would be more in touch with all of the updates that I will be releasing, but also information that I am unable to share on YouTube. And my Instagram handle is Physiotherapy in UK, so do not forget to check that out. But diving right into today's content, let's just start with what is really happening into the UK right now. So as you are aware that the UK currently has massive staff shortages within the healthcare streams. Now, as you are aware, these shortages are mainly because of the aging population in the UK. That is, most of the people, majority of the people in the UK are of the older generation, and so they require healthcare staff in order to tackle all of these problems. And in the recent years, obviously there has been COVID, so it's sort of a double whammy effect for a lot of people living into the UK. And that's why the UK government has realized that they need these healthcare professionals. Now, the second sort of reason is because the UK generally has a lot of people, or a lot of young people, usually into the technology and the finance streams. Very few people choose to actually go into the healthcare stream within the UK, and that is one of the reasons why the healthcare stream has such dwindled number of professionals within it right now in the NHS across England and Scotland. So now, before we begin and before we move ahead, let's just understand that the UK government presently has two major parties. One is the Conservative Party, and then the second is the Labour Party. And right now, the Conservative Party has been in power for the last few years, and the sort of prime ministers, that is Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and Rishi Sunak, are all from the Conservative Party. Now, obviously, the Conservative Party has realized that the staffing problems within the NHS is not going anywhere, and it's going to have a massive impact not only on the people working in the NHS, but also the people in the UK, because no one can really provide these services unless the NHS is completely staffed. Now, because they've realized this, they've brought about two massive changes in the past few years. So the first thing that these Conservative Party prime ministers have done in the past is they've added several occupations on the shortage occupation list. And most of these occupations in the past few years have been healthcare related professionals. And if any of y'all are confused about which healthcare related profession is in the shortage occupation list of the UK right now, do not forget to check the description of this video, because I have given you the link from the UK government itself. But the second thing that this government has done to sort of ease the stress on the NHS in the last few years is it has also issued a health and care worker visa. Now, if you do not know what is a health and care worker visa, let me break it down for you. The health and care worker visa allows people who are going to be working in the NHS to apply for this fast track visa. So where the skilled worker visa alone, that is the tier 2 skilled worker visa, would take up to 8 weeks for anybody applying to receive a decision letter, the health and care worker visa allows this decision letter to come within 3 weeks. And the second major advantage of the health and care worker visa is that you pay very less cost in the name of visa fees. And the reason for this is many of the health and care worker visa people do not even need to apply for the IHS for themselves and even for their dependents. So you would be saving massive loads of money if you actually apply under the health and care worker visa, which is a recommendation that I would give you always. Now, despite all of these massive efforts over the last sort of 2 years, the UK still faces a severe shortage of healthcare professionals in the UK. Now, I'm just going to show you this article recently, which said that about 10% of the vacancies in the NHS is still unfulfilled. That means there are no people occupying these vacant jobs in the NHS in the last few years in NHS England alone. And even if you think about NHS Scotland, the situation is not very different. So again, this second article shows that there were around 6,000 vacant positions for nurses and midwives alone within the NHS Scotland. And as you can see, what I am trying to tell you here is that there are a lot of vacancies that are waiting to be fulfilled within the NHS alone. And the NHS is sure to sponsor your visa in order for you to come and work within the UK, which has been a safe route for many healthcare professionals in the last 2 years. So, as you can just see this article again, it says that many doctors, including about 34% of doctors who have joined the NHS in the last year, were actually overseas trained doctors. Now, as you can understand, that this is a massive percentage for them. But if any of y'all are confused about how you should be applying for jobs, where do you find these jobs, and what's the correct method to fill your NHS applications, please do not forget to check out this playlist of mine where I've highlighted all of this key information in very, very clear and good detail. So do not forget to check this playlist out if you have any confusion or if you need any further guidance. But if you feel that even after watching this playlist, you are still confused and need more help and assistance, please do not forget to check out this website link where you will be able to book one-to-one sessions with me so that we can review your NHS applications together and make sure you land those interviews so that you can come and work in the UK. So now, after hearing all of this news, you would say, oh, yay, Nikita, this is all brilliant news. I'm looking forward to working into the UK. But this is exactly where a recent comment that was passed by one of the Labour Party representatives, that is Keir Starmer, recently said that increased immigration is not going to be the solution for the NHS problems. Now, as I explained before, all of these previous rules were sort of established from the Conservative Party, and the Labour Party is the second party that has the majority votes into the UK. So, right now, it's not into power. But what essentially is going to happen is next year there's going to be general elections, and again, whoever sort of wins the seat will be making decisions around immigration, which is going to be affecting you and me. Now, again, coming back to what Keir Starmer recently said, he has said that increased immigration is not going to be the solution for any of the NHS problems. And the reason that he has said this is recently, in the last month alone, there have been 2 deaths because of staffing issues within NHS Scotland, that is in the Glasgow hospital. And around 59 near misses. That means around 59 people were near death, but obviously they were saved. And all of this has been because of the NHS staffing issues within Scotland alone. Now, this person obviously further goes on to say that he thinks that immigration should be reduced for healthcare professionals and should be based more on the point-based system that already exists, but the immigration should actually increase for people working in factories, finances, and tech, which you and I may not agree with, but this is what he actually goes on to say in this article, which is on the BBC. So now obviously he has sort of identified this possible problem and even has a certain solution for this problem. And like I said, this person or this party is not in power right now. So for the next 1 year, the Conservative Party, that is Rishi Sunak's government, is in power right now. But say next year, this Labour Party comes into power, this person is actually going to think about changing the immigration rules for healthcare professionals. But that being said, the possible solution that he has stated is that he is going to try and increase the number of medical seats up to 7,500 students per year for the UK themselves. So he's going to try and have more UK students trained to become medical professionals or trained to become medical staff in the next few years. But again, if you see this, you actually understand that this may not be an immediate solution. It's more like a sort of long-term plan for the UK government. And obviously, all of this is just dependent on the fact that the Labour government actually wins the next election. But that being said, I would want to issue you with some recommendations and leave you with them just so that you are not stressed about these immigration changes that could happen in the next year. So the first thing I definitely want to say is that a lot of my subscribers on YouTube are generally people who are finishing internship, who are in the process of completing their degree, either bachelor's or master's, and I would just say that you need to gain that valuable experience. It does not matter where your experience lies, whether it's a hospital, whether it's a clinic, whether it's a private setup. Just gain some valuable experience, develop your skills, build your clinical standards, because that's going to be able to help you land those interviews in the UK and successfully cover those interviews and get a job into the UK. So definitely my first advice to you would be is gain some good clinical experience in your own countries, whether it is India, Nigeria, Philippines, Bangladesh, Pakistan, wherever you may be. Now, the second sort of recommendation I have for you is also apply for your HCPC. Now, obviously, if you are in your 3rd or your 4th year degree and you have not got your degree certificate, I would say do not apply for your HCPC yet. But say, for example, you've just finished your internship, you are eligible to apply for the HCPC. Do not be under the impression that you are not allowed to apply for the HCPC if you do not have experience. Even if you have your 6 months of internship experience, you are eligible to be applying for the HCPC, and that's what I would say you should do. Now, if you are confused about how to apply for the HCPC, please do not fret. Just go and check out this playlist because all of it is explained in very clear language. And if you continue to have doubts, do not forget to book a one-to-one session with me. Coming down to the third point is once you get your HCPC registration, please do not forget to start applying for jobs immediately. Actually, you can even start applying for jobs before you get your HCPC registration, but you might be at a slight disadvantage as compared to people who have actually got their HCPC, registration. That being said, I would still say apply for jobs because when you start developing your NHS application, you will start improving it in a step-by-step manner until you get a perfect application through which you will be selected for many, many, many interviews. And if you're confused about that, please do not forget to check out this playlist where I've explained all of that in clear detail about how you can start applying on NHS or track jobs and how you can build that application up step by step. And finally, coming down to the fourth recommendation that I have is obviously do not shut off the student route. Now, I've made this video previously where I've explained to you why I would think somebody would choose a work visa or a study visa to come into the UK. And I would still say that if you are confused about any of that, do not forget to check out this video because it gives you a lot of clear information. And while that video does not set a standard or an expectation for you, it will definitely give you some points on which you will be able to make these decisions or make these calls for yourself. So I would say do not take my advice blindly and be like, oh, Nikita, I'm going to apply for my HCPC registration, land a job in the UK, and that's going to be it. I would say check this video out and see if the student route is one possible way through which you can come and live in the UK or even work in the UK. Now, that being said, this was all in today's video and I really hope you liked this content. And if you did, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Take care, you guys. Bye.